They pierced their own flesh, not to suffer, but to pray. Under the blazing summer sun, they danced for days without food or water. Blood dripped onto sacred ground, mingling with dust and song. This wasn't madness. This was devotion, raw, ancient, and uncompromising. The sun dance, perhaps the most misunderstood and hauntingly powerful ritual among the Plains Indian tribes, is not merely a dance, it is a living sacrifice, a spiritual trial, a direct confrontation with pain and transcendence. Practiced by nations like the Lakota, Dakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Crow, the sun dance represented the highest form of communion with the divine. To the outside world, it may have appeared brutal or extreme, but for those within, it was a sacred bridge between man and the spirit world. To understand the sun dance, one must first understand the heartbeat of these cultures: sacrifice, community, vision, and renewal. The dance often occurred during midsummer, at the height of heat, intensity, and life itself. It was no coincidence. The scorching sun symbolized the eye of the Great Spirit, watching with fierce compassion, demanding honesty, endurance, and surrender. Origins in a dream. Like many indigenous ceremonies, the origin of the sun dance is said to come from a vision. In Lakota legend, a woman received a divine message from the white buffalo calf woman, a spiritual being who gifted the sacred pipe and teachings to the people. She instructed that a ceremony of sacrifice must be held to maintain harmony between the physical and spiritual realms. Only through pain could clarity be found. Only through offering one's body could the spirit be truly free. This belief took root and flourished. The sun dance was born not as entertainment, but as a deep act of devotion. Preparing for the dance, preparation for the sun dance wasn't measured in hours. It was measured in spiritual readiness. Dancers fasted for days before the ceremony, often retreating into nature to pray, meditate, and cleanse themselves with sweat lodges. These sweat lodges were more than saunas. They were wombs of the earth, places where the body released toxins and the soul was stripped bare. Each participant, most often men, but sometimes women, entered the dance not casually, but with a vow. Some danced to heal a sick loved one. Others danced to seek guidance, to atone for a moral wrong, or to protect their people. And some simply danced to become something more than human, to be reborn. The central symbol of the ceremony was the sun dance tree, a tall cottonwood, carefully chosen, ritually cut, and erected in the middle of the sacred circle. It was said to represent the axis mundi, the spiritual center of the universe, connecting the earth to the heavens. Red cloth bundles, representing prayers and tobacco ties, fluttered from its limbs like whispers to the gods. The ceremony begins at dawn. Under the wide, merciless sky, the dancers emerged from their tents and gathered in a large, circular arbor made of brush and wood. The drum beats began slow, thunderous, ancient. The singers chanted sacred songs, handed down from generations in a language born from the earth. Then the dance began. With chests bared, eyes fixed toward the rising sun, the dancers moved in. Rhythmic circles around the central pole. They swayed. They spun. Some held eagle bone whistles in their mouths, blowing them in time with their breath, offering every inhalation to the Creator. There was no shade, no rest, no food, no water. This wasn't to punish the body, but to liberate the spirit. For many, the moment of deepest transformation came with the piercing. Piercing the flesh, it was not required of all dancers, but many chose to undergo the most intense act of offering, the flesh sacrifice. A holy man, often the medicine chief of the tribe, would pierce the dancer's chest with sharpened slivers of bone or wooden pegs inserted just beneath the skin and muscles. These pegs were attached by rawhide ropes to the top of the sun dance pole. Then, the dancer would lean back and pull, He would dance until the flesh tore and he broke free. This was not seen as mutilation. It was seen as release, a powerful moment of surrender, symbolizing the giving of oneself completely to the Creator. Blood was not something to hide or fear. It was a gift. In bleeding, the dancer affirmed his role in the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Pain as a doorway in modern culture. Pain is something to be avoided. But within the sun dance, pain was a threshold. It was a teacher. When the body was pushed beyond comfort, the ego dissolved. The dancer stood naked, spiritually naked, before the great mystery. Time unraveled. The sun became a god. The drum became a heartbeat. The dancer, in agony, became one with all things. This is why the ceremony lasted for 4 days and nights. Not just to suffer, but to transform. Some dancers fainted. Some collapsed from dehydration. Others received visions, hallucinations, perhaps, but to them, messages from ancestors or the Creator. These were recorded, remembered, revered. The role of the community, the sun dance, was not an individual event. It was a communal act of healing and devotion. While the dancers suffered, the community surrounded them with song, prayer, and food offerings. Women played a crucial role preparing meals, tending the sacred fire, and singing through the long nights. Children watched in awe. Elders remembered. Mothers wept in quiet pride. The ceremony wasn't just about those inside the circle. It was about the people. In this way, the pain of one became the healing of many. Colonial suppression. When European settlers and American authorities encountered the sun dance, they recoiled in fear and misunderstanding. To them, it looked savage, cruel, even demonic. They couldn't see the spiritual depth, the symbolism, the human courage behind the blood. By the late 19th century, the U.S. government banned the sun dance outright. Native ceremonies were criminalized. Dancers were arrested. Sacred songs were silenced. But the sun dance did not die. It went underground. It became secret. It whispered through families and medicine men, preserved like glowing embers waiting to blaze again. Revival and resilience in the 20th century. With the rise of Native American activism and spiritual sovereignty, the sun dance began to return. Tribes reclaimed their rights. Sacred grounds were reopened. Songs were sung again beneath open skies. Today, many tribes continued to hold the sun dance, some adapted, some traditional, but always sacred. It remains a place of sacrifice, yes, but also of hope, of renewal, of unbreakable identity, symbolism, and sacred meaning at its heart. The sun dance is a living metaphor. The central pole equals the spine of the world. The circular arbor equals the cycle of life. The dancers equals humanity reaching toward the divine. The pain equals the price of awakening. The tearing of flesh equals release from the illusions of the self. It teaches that life is not about comfort, but about connection. That pain is not the enemy, but a fire that burns away what is false. That devotion demands everything but gives back more than the world can offer. A mirror for us all. What would we give up to find truth? Would we endure the heat, the thirst, the tearing? Would we give our body to protect our soul? The sun dance asks those questions, not just to Native Americans, but to everyone. In a world of distraction, the ceremony is a thunderclap, a cry across centuries, a reminder that there are still people who kneel before the sun and mean it. Closing reflection too. Dance for the sun is to dance for life itself. It is to say, I will give myself so that others may heal. I will bleed so the earth remembers me. I will tear away the comfort of flesh to let the spirit breathe. There is no ego in the sun dance, no audience, no applause. Only spirit, fire, and sky. In that sacred circle, beneath the ruthless heat of the summer sun, ancient voices still echo. calling us to remember who we are.